He'd seen my company's advertising for so long that he knew that we had to be legit. So he Googled us, he saw the reviews, then he went to the website, and that's how he got our phone number and gave us a call.
If you're thinking about starting a pressure washing business, but you want to learn more about the equipment, mixing chemicals, how to clean every surface on a residential job site, property protection, and much, much more, check out the How to Wash course. It'll be the first link in the comment section and the description.
I got a call from a guy, and it actually went into my call center, and they took a message, and I actually thought that they had messed up the message, because basically the message came through. It was a guy from Fort Stewart. He left his name, he left his number, and he wanted to get an estimate for all the housing on Fort Stewart and some of the barracks and a few other areas. Now, I just said that there's like 300,000 acres. Okay. So this is a monumental place. I think there's like 23,000 soldiers, and then probably double that in family members. So you're talking about an immense amount of housing. So that sounded a little bit too good to be true. And maybe, like I said, I thought maybe they'd messed something up. So I called this guy back. We went down there, we drove around, and sure enough, it was all of the housing. Okay. Now, this was about 8 years ago, and it's still the largest single ticket job that we've ever had. And like I told you, it was about it was just over $140,000. So one of the questions that I always ask to any prospective customer, regardless of the size of the job, is, how did you hear about us? And I do this because it's important as a business owner to understand where your lead flow is coming from, right? That way you can focus on the things that are actually working or generating leads. You can double down on those things. If it's ad spend, like if it's a PPC, then you can increase the frequency there, increase your ad spend. If it's email marketing or print marketing, you can increase your frequency there as well. Because without that data, without that knowledge of where the leads are coming from, then you're just flying blind, and flying blind leads to failure, or at least much lower profits.
And that's why you need a tool like QuoteIQ to keep up with customers, send invoices, send estimates, and collect payments all for free. And we're actually giving away 2 MacBooks in March to subscribers of the app. So if you're interested in that, check it out. It'll be linked in the comment section and the description.
How did they hear about you, Mike? I know you alluded to that earlier.
Yeah, man. So this, again, it's kind of crazy. A lot of the guys that operate out of Stewart, they don't live on base. They live in Richmond Hill, which is a city outside of Savannah, in between here and Fort Stewart, or they live in Savannah, both areas that we target with our marketing, right? So he lived in a nice neighborhood, and obviously we focus on nice neighborhoods for obvious reasons. And he had said he'd gotten multiple postcards from us over the years, but then he saw one of my bandit signs outside of his neighborhood, said he recognized the logo from the postcard. And the one thing that he said that still sticks with me today is, he said that he'd seen my company's advertising for so long that he knew that we had to be legit. So he Googled us, he saw the reviews, then he went to the website, and that's how he got our phone number and gave us a call. Now, on a side note, I also asked him why he never called us to wash his house, right? If he'd been seeing it for years, at some point over that time frame, I would have assumed that he got his house washed. And he told me that he had a guy that already did it for him, and he'd been using him for years, and he did a good job, but he didn't bother to ask him about this job because he knew he couldn't handle it. And the reason that he didn't think he could handle it was because his truck was beat up and he looked like a bum. And he wasn't going to bring anyone like that onto the base, which I thought was strange that he'd allow him at the house, but not the base. But it's interesting because it shows that presentation is everything. And it doesn't just go in your marketing materials or your web presence, or how you're putting yourself out there. It's in everything. It's how the public views you. So presentation really is important in every aspect of your business. And what he told me kind of just proves that point.
Okay, so getting in front of the customer multiple times with flyers, postcards, and then ultimately him seeing a yard sign, him being able to recognize that brand from all the times you got in front of him, really speaks to the perseverance to this type of marketing, which we call boots on the ground marketing. It's just beautiful how it all kind of coalesced into this ginormous job. Like, how many times do we pass out postcards, send out mailers, flyers, we do the yard signs, and we only got X amount of dollars off of this as far as the ROI, but you don't see what's working when the jobs that can come down the line. So I just think that that's really impressive that we got this big of a job.
Yeah. And it's important to understand where those leads are coming from. Like I was talking about earlier, right? If you don't know, then you might stop doing it because you don't think there is an ROI, but you have to ask, or you don't know.